Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of the United States of America, Republic for which it stands, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Here.
Mr. Franco.
Here.
Mr. Franco. And Mr. Cabrera. And Mr. Cabrera.
I'm here. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Chapter 231, 1975, notice requirements have been satisfied. Time, place, and date of holding said meeting. By posting notice in the change of meeting notice here in the bulletin board hall, and by mailing it to the Herald of Cape May County, and the Press of Atlantic City, September 7th, 2023. Please note, all residential ratepayers can obtain information on the low-income house water assistance program can be found NJDCA in the event of an emergency exit, which is your back right, or front left, or your front left, just by the American flag. This meeting is being shown live here today on the Borough's Facebook and the Borough's YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel. If you're watching this meeting live and you'd like to ask a question or make a statement, all we need is your name. All we need is your address. Do not need your address. And you're going to dial the conference line, found on the agenda. Agendas are also found on the Borough's website. The number is 888-363-4734. And when prompted, you're going to enter the access code 9699090, followed by the pound or the hashtag. In the event you watch the recorded version online and you have questions, you're welcome to email our clerk at wildwoodcrest.org or phone her at 609-729-8040. Just don't call her late for dinner. All right, Madam Clerk, may we have the ordinances, please?
Yeah, the first is ordinance 1409, and it reads as follows. An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 32A, Fees, Section 32A-2, Marriage and Civil Union Ceremonies, eliminating the officiant fee for marriages and civil unions.
Motion that ordinance number 1409 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on October 4, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1409 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on October the 4th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is ordinance 1410, and it reads as follows. An ordinance of the Borough of Wildwood Crest amending and supplementing Article 3 of Chapter 46 of the Code of the Borough of Wildwood Crest, entitled Work Schedules for Full-Time Administrative Employees within Borough Hall.
Motion that ordinance number 1410 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on October 4, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1410 be passed on first reading, advertised according to law, be brought up for second and final reading and public hearing on October 4th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolutions. The first is authorizing approval of change order number 1, Beach Street End Public Access Improvements, Phase 2, to reflect additional work to install removable bollards at 11 street ends, increasing the contract amount by $22,851.50 for a revised contract amount of $3,250,916.70.
Motion.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing refund of marriage application fee to Ulysses Xavier Torres Santiago in the amount of $28.
I'll move.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing a shared services agreement with the Cape May County Municipal Utilities Authority for solid waste disposal and recycling services commencing January 1, 2024, and expiring December 31st, 2025.
Motion?
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the sale of surplus property no longer needed for public use on an online auction website.
I'll motion.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
The next two are pulled. The next is reducing special events application additional fees and borough support fees to Wildwood Motor Events for Monster Truck Meet and Greet.
Motion.
Can I
Second.
get Mr. Cabrera seconds?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain. Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing appointment of James McGinty as an advisory member of the Wildwood Crest Green Team and filling a vacated position with a term expiring December 31st, 2024.
Motion?
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing a licensing agreement between the Borough of Wildwood Crest and the Wildwood Crest School District for the use of their tennis pickleball courts.
Motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing a service agreement with GE Software, Inc. for Public Works and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement.
Motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is approving the updated flood insurance promotion activity with the Atlantic Cape Multi-Jurisdictional Program for public information.
Motion?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, construction official for the month ending August 31st, 2023 be accepted as presented.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded that all reports received from the court administrator, chief financial officer, tax collector, chief of police, supervisor for the recreation department, and construction official for the month ending August 31st, 2023 be accepted as presented. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all minutes from the commission's meeting dated August 22nd, 2023 and September 6th, 2023 be approved as presented.
Second?
It has been moved and seconded that all minutes from the commission meetings dated August 22nd and September 6th, 2023 be approved as presented. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Thanks, Trish.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our administrator's report. Connie.
Thank you. So our beach end bump outs south of Rambler, Toledo, St. Paul, Monterey, Miami, Louisville, Nashville, Atlanta, Farragut, Stanton, Stockton, and Orchid. We're in the final phase of that right now. Concrete and asphalt work will commence in about 2 weeks. We expect to go to the county for our final reimbursement in October on that project. The Crest Arts Pavilion, we are receiving about a little over $1 million in open space funding for the exterior improvements to that building. I'll be attending the Cape May County Commissioners meeting on September 26th to answer questions, and at that point it is expected that they will approve that grant money. Hereford Inlet's a Cape May Inlet Beach and Dune construction. That's the Army Corps dune that we've been talking about for many, many years, probably over 10 years. We now have the 65% plans in hand. They are in the conference room, and the governing body has been looking at them. I have reviewed them. Mark is reviewing them, and they need our comments back to the DEP shortly. The only change that I saw on the plans is the actual access at Cressy, which is slightly wider. There may be some changes to that, as I understand. This project is looking like it's going to take place between 18 and 24 months from now. They are right now in the acquisition phase of easements. New Jersey Avenue, the county's reconstruction of New Jersey Avenue is expected to commence in the spring of 2025 or maybe 2026. Right now, we're working on some traffic calming measures as well as traffic signalization with the county. Moving forward, we'll be doing some infrastructure improvements underneath of the roadway to sewer and stormwater improvements. Sunset Lake State Channel dredging. The state NJDOT has awarded phase 1 of the contract to Mobile Dredging. They will be starting the project in late October. They're expecting to remove approximately 124,000 cubic yards of sediment from Post Creek north to the channel in North Wildwood. So that project is expected to take place throughout the winter. Phase 2 will be the Wildwood Crest area and will include Sunset Lake, the channel dredging there. That has not been awarded, but that will be commencing in about a year, we think. CAFRA applications, we just received word from our environmental consultant that a permit is not needed for the installation of a camera and a pole at Sunrise Park, which we've been working on. So we now know we do not need a permit for that. Washington Avenue, we did apply for FEMA money to do a study there for flood mitigation efforts. And now that we've received that, our grant writer is writing that grant. He's working alongside of Mark to do so. And he did inform me that 70% of the FEMA grants awarded in 22 were awarded to his clients. So he has a very strong track record with FEMA, and we're very hopeful that we'll get that funded. EV charging stations, we just found out that the state has approved the Crest Arts Pavilion for 2 EV fast charging stations. They're the ones that can charge your car in about 20 minutes, very quick. We believe we're going to get about $75,000 for each of those charging stations. They will be dual, so that will be able to accommodate 4 cars at a time. And that will be part of the renovations to the exterior part of the Crest Arts Pavilion. We did get 2 large grants on that, so it's looking really favorable for us. Fiscal year 2023 DCA Small Cities, we will be renovating the bathrooms here in the municipal building and I believe next door in the police department. And we did receive $342,000 in funding to make ADA improvements to those bathrooms. Our architect's currently working on those plans along with Mark de Blasio, and we'll be getting those bid documents out shortly. And that's all I have.
Okay, everybody, any questions for Connie?
Thank you.
All
Public?
good. Thanks, Con.
Public, any questions? Okay, engineer's report.
Okay, just a couple of things to add to Connie's report. The reconstruction of Orchid Road and the Wisteria Road sanitary sewer replacement. We're starting to wrap up that design. We're scheduled to put that out to bid approximately the week of October 9th. The Von Savage pool repairs, the roof repairs are complete, and the contractor is now working on the interior pool improvements. And lastly, the Bayside Bulkhead Replacement Program, which we're calling Phase 1, the first 5. We're currently in design. We're wrapping up some details. Some decisions need to be made relative to final design elements, but we would be in position to have that ready to bid the week of October 23rd.
Okay, any questions? Commissioner?
Thank you.
Public, questions for our engineer regarding his report? Okay, we're going to move right on to correspondence. I have two quick items. That one was mailed to me, so I'll just read it just so everybody's aware. So if you recall, Wildwood Crest assisted in the process of a junior triathlon team here in Cape May County. Just to bring everybody up to speed, there were 43 participants in the program. This was for grades 6 through 12. The Crest, they trained and they used our pool facility. We actually reduced the cost a bit just so that they could have a place to train, and they used the pool parking lot as a transition area. So Ashley, who headed up the program, sent me a note to bring everybody up to speed, and when the time comes, she'll more than likely will be reaching out to us again, probably in the spring of next year for a similar program for 2024. Connie and myself met with Atlantic City Electric with regards to the July 7th power outage that affected the entire island. I think the meeting was very helpful to understand, because you hear all kinds of things of what happened and so forth. So they wanted to really meet with us. So Doug McCoy, who was the regional president, and Kristen McAvoy and Ronnie Town, also of Lansing Electric, met with us. So I'm just going to kind of hit the bullet points as to what the meeting was about. First, seems to be the biggest question from the public that they've been receiving. There is no capacity issue with the service here in the Wildwoods. The investigation of the fire is still ongoing. Therefore, any insurance claims that have been presented, there's not going to be any action on that for probably quite some time. The preliminary investigation shows the fire started in the underground, in an underground wire that was surrounded by conduit, and then the fire then spread to the substation. It was an isolated incident, so it only took place right there in that specific area and at that specific substation. Remedial action is taking place to isolate the underground wire in case another fire and a fire suppression system will also be installed. There was two recent outages that affected the Wildwood more so than the Crest, specifically on the boardwalk, but they were unrelated to this particular incident. One of the big things that Lansing Electric is working on is improving communications. We had asked that to pass on the information to us so we can certainly get it out to our residents and our taxpayers, but also their communication with our police department, all of our public safety personnel, all the governing body members, and all the people that need to know. So we made some suggestions. Hopefully they'll take us up on some of those. A daily team has been assigned to the Wildwoods to update business owners and officials. Lastly, as I mentioned, equipment failure is likely the cause. Therefore, the tariff is regulated by the Board of Public Utilities. That wraps up that incident from July the 7th. Okay. We're going to go to our first round of public comments. We'll start with anybody here in the audience, so please give us your name. Please come up to the podium and ask your question, and we'll be happy to answer.
Sure. My name is Al Cataro, and my question is about the rain flooding that takes place along Seaview Avenue. My neighbor and I are here. We're in the Seaview and Astor area, and it seems like it's just getting worse. So it takes less of a rain to cause the flooding, and it gets substantial. The whole intersection is underwater. From Seaview all the way to Pacific is underwater, and it just becomes a hazard for people, especially the fact they're trying to walk down the street or trying to do anything. Cars that park there sometimes get water in them, and it just seems to us that it's just kind of getting worse. So is there anything in the works about looking into it, or is there anything to be getting done? That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here.
I believe your wife had forwarded some photos
Yes.
to our clerk, and our clerk dispersed them to our engineer and to the governing body, and we also have been working with Public Works. So what I can tell you is Public Works reviewed all the catch basins and so forth. Everything is clean, all in that area. So our next step then is we're looking at getting a video surveillance of the lines themselves to see if there's anything from anywhere on Seaview, because we have a siphon drain system. So there's a lot of different streets that are draining these areas, and I think it's trying to get out to Heather Road, the outfall line on the beach. So we have to look at the main line from Heather Road back to Seaview Avenue, and then any other areas that flow to Heather, because that's the main artery, so to speak, to get out to the beach. So all that's in process. I know our engineer's working on specifically with when we get with the video camera company to figure out which areas that we need to kind of put the camera down in and take a look at that. So we're waiting for that proposal and that information, and as soon as we have it, we'll send somebody out there to start looking at these areas.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I just want to add, my name's Karen Nagel, I live at 6,000 Seaview Avenue. I just want to add to his comment about the road. There is a pitch in the road. It floods all on this side, and that's why it drains. I know you have to have engineers look at it, but that pitch never goes to the other side of the road, and it drains all the way on our side, and I think that's part of the flooding and down Seaview, Astor, and whatever other roads there are, but I'm just thinking if that had been dug, I think it was dug up like 5 or 6 years ago, you repaved Seaview.
Yes.
And it was nice and flat, and I'm thinking, oh, they're getting ready to fix it, and I'm thinking this is an easy fix, but there's a reason. I don't know why it's pitched so bad, that pitches down our end at 6,000, that's
Okay.
right across the street, because I think if it drained to the other drains, it would flow better. So that's all, I just have a comment on that, but I'm not an engineer, but I just thought I'd say that. That's
Thank
it.
you very much. So, Mr. de Blasio, so if you could just maybe review the pitch of the area. I don't know if it's The street was redone I think it was early, right after 2012 or 11, somewhere in there, that ballpark. So just, if you could just take a look at that and then get back to us, I'd appreciate it. All right. Any other questions from the public here in the audience? Anybody on the conference line on this first round of public comments before we head into new and old business?
Yeah, hi, this is Mike Marino.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hello?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, I couldn't attend the meeting, but I had some simple comments to make. So, Mayor, first I'd like to thank you and your team for taking actions to calm down the traffic in the Wildwood Crest. It's great to hear you're having a meeting with the traffic study engineer, and we're waiting on a proposal. And I also want to say, as you know, across the country, infrastructure is failing. Many roads are dangerous and need repair. It's great to hear that Wildwood Crest is being proactive about this matter. That said, I do understand that it will not be fixed overnight. I like the plan that you've put together. Hopefully, a short and long-term approach will make our community become a better, safer place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the conference line? Okay, we're going to move right on to new business. First item under new business is a potential swim run event. So to take everybody back to 2022, Wildwood Crest hosted two events. One was a swim in the bay, and also the Crest Best Run Fest, which was generally held in October on Columbus Day weekend. Have been receiving a lot of requests from the athlete community for the Crest to bring back the events, whether it be as large or something smaller. So I am asking if anybody has any companies that has race directing and timing experience to come forward. I'll be happy to talk with them. But also I've interviewed one. I'm waiting for a proposal. Just wanted to put it out in front of everybody to let everyone know that the Run Fest and the Swim Fest is not a dead issue, and I think we're hoping, if all goes as planned, that we can bring something back to the Crest for 2024. The Wildwood Crest Tourism Development Commission, the TDC, has also been aware. I've made them aware at the most recent meeting last Wednesday. So that's all I had. Any questions, comments?
It'd be similar dates.
Yes,
than what we had.
similar. Yeah, the swim would be based on the tide in Sunset Lake. All right, under old business, Crest Pier capital planning for generators. That work is still in the queue. Mr. de Blasio is working on that. So traffic calming, to what Mr. Marino indicated in a previous meeting. So we do have traffic calming plans that I know Public Safety is in the process of reviewing. I personally have not had a chance to review it yet. However, as I mentioned, that we had anticipated having a meeting, which we did have, with the traffic study engineer, and we're just waiting on a proposal. Some of the brief comments that were made by the engineer, and again, I'm an engineer, it's a different engineer, it's one that specializes in traffic. Some of the ideas that they had come up with are also similar to what I saw, at least on plan here. So it's going to take a little time to dive into those details, but the process is moving ahead. Code enforcement, nothing's happening on that. Commissioner Schiff, anything?
Yeah, nope.
All right, so I think safe to say, are we looking now at 2024?
I would believe,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Would you like me to remove it?
No, leave it on there.
Okay.
This, just to confirm, this is regarding having weekend hours. That's correct, right? I know Commissioner Franco wanted some weekend hours and coverage and all that good stuff. So whatever that process is for next year, for sure. All right. Back beach excavation is on hold. I believe that's directly affected with the Army Corps project that Connie spoke to.
Yes, it is part of the plan. It is still on the plans, all the elevation of the back beach directly to the berm and to the dune that they'll be constructing. They will be filling the back beach.
Okay. Commissioner, anything to add on the dredging?
County filled us all in. I think we're good up to right now.
Okay. New Jersey Avenue infrastructure. All right, so that Mark is also working on that. That's looking like a 2025 plan. All right. Public Works roof. We're waiting to go out to bid on that as well. right? So we're finishing up the bid specifications on it.
Combined with Crest Pier.
The Crest Pier roof,
With the
right,
co-op.
okay.
Yep.
The co-op. Bayside outfalls, okay, so Mr. de Blasio touched on that. Five streets, and then there's some street raising and the tide flex valves on those particular streets.
Correct.
Gotcha. All right. Arts Pavilion, Connie reported on that with the open space on September 26th. Washington Avenue, Seaview, outfall lines and capacity. Anything moving with that?
That's the grant that we're looking for right now, right?
Okay.
So Jim Rotulla's working with Mark, and he's, the deadline for that grant is November. So he's working on that right now with Mark, and that's going to be the mitigation for that area for the flooding.
Gotcha. Landscaping, lighting in the business district. So we're just waiting on the planners. I think that they are on order, right? Are they not? I'm just want to make sure. If not, they should be hopefully for next year. Mr. Shear? Landscape planners, can you coordinate with Francine and we just want to make sure that those planners are on order. I think they were from Wausau, Tom.
I did a PO for them
Okay.
back in April. So.
All right, well, if we order them now, hopefully we'll have them by May next year. Because I know everything's on back order. All right, lightning detection system, Commissioner, anything?
Yes, once we get the building underway, that will be a part of it.
All right, so you're coming back with a recommendation on?
Yep.
Type, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, last round of public comments. We'll start with anybody here in the audience. Come on up.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners, and the Board. My name is Frances West. I just have a quick question, and I may be talking about the same thing. There was a surveyor out that I saw on Buttercup, and he just basically said because we have a flooding issue too when it rains. And it typically comes from the bay, comes up to Park, and back out of the sewer at the corner and floats down everybody's property. It's very black, oldest looking leaves you want to see, and you just have to get out there every time. No big deal to rinse it off. He said what's happening is, I guess I'm going to call them flappers, I don't know the technical term, that they're not working properly.
Mm-hmm.
So is that's in the works, right?
That's correct, that's right. That was under the Bayfall outfall lines and bulkhead
Right,
project.
is
Yep.
that every street, or you just where you think there's really basically
So
problems with that?
So where Lake Road meets Park, that area north of there, we have identified that as a, and I think Buttercup is in that area.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of, so I mentioned earlier about siphon drains. So what that basically means is there's outfall lines that go out to the beach and to the bay, and they have all the side streets that are trying to get to that same one. So they go down into a drain underneath the ground, they percolate up out another one, and they keep going up and down, in and out of the grates until it gets to the main artery where it can take it directly out to the water. When the tide is up, the water has nowhere to go because it can't flow out. And then we're replacing the valves so that we can manually close them to not allow the water to go back into the street. So those are some of the changes that Mr. de Blasio is working on. It's going to be at least a 2-year, possibly a 3-year project depending on cost. So it's addressing the bulkheads, the end of the street ends are going to get raised, and the tide flex valves that go through the bulkheads will be a manual valve system so that we can shut them off in high tide events so the water doesn't come backwards into the streets and make it worse. And then the bulkheads will also be raised, which eventually the borough will be addressing the private property owners by ordinance in terms of they have to raise the bulkheads as well.
And it's a shame because I think they're pretty fairly new bulkheads at the end of the street on the bay.
Yeah, you have the concrete ones. So those are the least of our concern. So there's 10 that are concrete, but they have a wooden facade on the street side, and then there's a hard, what do you call it, Mark? The plastic or a hard sheathing type material on the water side. And so we're kind of evaluating which 5. They're all going to get done. It's just a question of which ones are going to be first year. Then the next phase of the following 5 will be done.
And your Buttercup, ma'am?
Excuse me?
Your Buttercup, you said?
Yes.
So yours is.
Well,
just
I've been there
just need to
5
be
years
capped, I
total
think, would
because
just
I
need to be
was on
capped.
Hollywood. We never had that issue on Hollywood Street, 100 West Hollywood, but I'm on Buttercup now 5 years.
Okay.
And it actually didn't happen the first 3-4 years. It was mainly this past year that it was happening. So I did call, and the guys were nice. They came out. They said that they literally just cleaned out that sewer on Buttercup by Park. But they said there's really nothing they can do because all that sludge and all leaves is typically when it rains heavy and it comes up and wants to go back down to the bay, which I understand. But it just happened. I think it's happening for the last year or so. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah, so we know the flooding in that, it's kind of, we call it that's the mini triangle inside the big triangle, I'll call it. So we know that's there, so we definitely, because it's from Cressy Avenue to Buttercup and Morning Glory, that whole area gets
Right,
tough. So we're
right.
addressing some of that, and we're addressing some of the bulkheads a little bit south of
Okay,
there as well.
Okay. I figured you knew about the situation because I'm probably not the only one that's saying
That's-
something.
it's all
But
good.
I noticed it the last year.
Got it.
basically. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Anybody on the conference line have any more comments? All right, we're going to go to commissioners' comments. Commissioners, you have anything?
You go first.
Me go first?
Yep.
All right, so just, so this weekend is the Seafarers here in Wildwood Crest. That's generally our last major event. Unfortunately, the weather isn't looking well, so it's gonna be a game time decision on what we're gonna do with that particular event. The fireworks that we generally come with that event have been canceled. They're calling for extremely high winds and can't do fireworks, obviously, if it's windy. That's all I have.
Just real quick, I know we had a couple closed sessions last meeting, so we weren't able to have a commissioner's comment. So I wanted to send our condolences to the Patterson family, Bob Patterson, who recently passed away. He was on our TDC, which I served with him for a couple of years, and he was also a long member of the Quotita and the Chamber of Commerce. So my condolences to his family. He was a really nice guy and helped me out a lot. So that is my comments.
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Good. All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.